Welcome to the No Snob Wine Podcast. In this episode, we are continuing our deep dive series with 3 white varieties, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Pinot Grigio. We'll discuss what to expect from these grapes, how to enjoy them, and offer some classic and unusual food suggestions. Chuck features a Pinot Grigio from Italy, and I share a Chardonnay from Argentina. So, Chuck, for this episode, we're going to look at 3 of the most popular white grapes. I think in the future episodes of this series, we'll do some more exotic stuff. Let's get going with Chardonnay. Talk to me about your favorite Chardonnays.
Well, they have to be unoaked for sure.
Agreed.
That's a start.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool climates usually.
I don't know if people are sick of us talking about this yet, but you know, when Chardonnays get oaked, they can just take over. It's so much. They call them buttery or vanilla.
They're heavy.
Is vanilla E a word? I'm not sure, but
makes sense.
It masks everything. All you can taste is the oak, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I just don't find that white grape and oak go terribly well together.
I don't love it.
Yeah.
I don't.
So I just stay away from it, basically. Chardonnay's great if it doesn't touch the oak. It can be very fruity and alive. But as soon as you hit it with that barrel, to me, it gets dull, heavy, bland.
Right.
And one-sided.
Agreed. I know it's grown all over the world, which is pretty popular.
Very popular.
Is this the Cabernet Sauvignon of white grapes?
I think so.
Yeah. It's heavily grown in France, which is interesting because a lot of French table wine doesn't declare the grape on the label. It just says where it's from, but I got to be careful if I say most, but a lot of French white table wine is Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't.
Well, people think Bordeaux is very fancy, but what's a Bordeaux? It's Merlot and Cabernet.
And a few others.
And they call it Bordeaux in France, right?
Yeah. And they just call it Bordeaux, which, there's a lot. It's French wine labeling is all about region, less about what's in the bottle. So, that's why France is so hard to navigate.
It is, yeah.
I guess the styles, an old world Chardonnay and a new world Chardonnay, I don't think they're terribly different, just depending whether oak was involved or not, I think
you're right, because I'm drinking an Italian Pinot Grigio right now, and it tastes very new world if I had to label it, but it's coming from Sicily, which is very old world place.
Yeah. And I think, so we'll get to Pinot Grigio in a minute, but I think that has a lot to do with climate, just like Chardonnay, because in the hotter climate Chardonnays, you'll get a lot more of the sugar developments. You're going to get more tropical fruit flavors, ripe apples, things like that. Maybe even some peach, some, stone fruit. But in the cooler stuff, like in Canada, it's just a little more mellow, a little softer. Maybe the acid's a little higher. It's good. They're good. So, I like Chardonnay, but, pairing it, I tend to think about, it's almost like red wine, like roast chicken and roast pork and white meats.
You can go heavier with Chardonnay.
Yeah, for sure. I think if I was going to do, well, it's not that crazy because I do this all the time, but pizza for me, where, maybe even it has pepperoni or, the meats, I like the Chardonnay. I think it can go right up against those big flavors.
Yeah, they can be medium, not quite full body, but for a white, I would say it's one of the more fuller bodied whites.
It is, yeah.
Would you say that? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so for an unusual pairing, I like mine with pizza. How about you?
I could see a pasta, but not with a red sauce, like a pasta with seafood or primavera. It's not too classic, but you could try it if you've never tried that before.
Yeah, agreed. That'd be good.
Where do you normally get yours from? What country?
For me, this is tougher because it's not always labeled, but I like France because they're usually done very middle of the road, a little bit fruity, a little bit acid, not oaked. For me, France. How about you? Where are you going for your Chard?
I'll pick mine up from Niagara, Canada. They're also a cooler climate, probably in the ballpark of the French style,
right?
Not like the California Americans where it's as you said, oaked or fuller body or heavier.
Yeah,
it's also like a light, more acidic, fruitier Chardonnay in Canada.
Yeah, I think the Americans, specifically the Californians, are getting a lot less heavy-handed with their oak. Like, it used to be bad.
Yeah, you just wouldn't buy any Chardonnay.
No. Right. So they're getting a lot less heavy-handed with it. And there's some good ones. Like, we don't give everybody the wrong impression. I mean, I've had good oak Chardonnays, but it's just when they just kill it with the oak. I can't.
It's a pass. Yeah, it's too heavy.
Yeah. Well, moving on, Sauvignon Blanc, another really popular grape around the world. It's grown a lot of places. I think the textbook place for it is New Zealand. When I did my sommelier exam, that was my blind taste test was a Sauvignon Blanc, and you had to guess New Zealand. And there's a really easy way to test typical New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, and I think we've talked about it before in the pod, but there's a very unique flavor profile they call civet, civet. It's cat urine. It just kind of...
I don't have a cat. When people say that, I have no idea.
If you have a friend who has a cat with a litter box, but none of the solids in it, just the liquids. Yeah, I get it. It's unique.
Do they also call it a gooseberry, right?
Yeah, that's
a lot of the time.
Yeah, gooseberry is the common descriptor, and then if it's like really strong, onto the cat pea civet flavor. Style,
no one's gonna buy it now.
No. Sorry, Sauvignon producers of the world. Style wise, I think we're looking at something that's acidic. It's a little bit tart. In my experience, I don't really encounter them as really sweet. No. I think they do well in hot climates like New Zealand. One of the interesting things I find about them, and in France, so if you ever see a bottle called Fumé or Fumé Blanc, that's Sauvignon Blanc that's been put into charred barrels, and it has a bit of a smoky note. I'm not going to say I love it or hate it. I think this is going to be a very individualistic experience. So I would say if you ever see a Fumé Blanc, try. Like, they're not terribly expensive.
I've tried one from Ontario, actually, and it was okay as an interesting kind of experiment thing. Not something I'd buy on the regular.
Yeah.
But fun to try because it is different.
Yeah. I think they're served mostly like with fishes and things that are a little more delicate.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I don't love the smoky notes. I mean, it works in some wines, like that Smoking Loon you reviewed the other day, the campfire one.
Yeah, that Zinfandel was really campfire smoky.
But it worked.
It was very nice.
Yeah.
But it's a red wine.
Right. So Fumé Blanc, smoked white wine, really, really different. Something totally unique.
Interesting. Try it out.
Try it. Definitely try it. Like you were talking about, gooseberry, you get some citrus. They can be a little grassy, I think.
Grassy for sure, yeah.
Yeah. What's another way to describe grassy that people would understand?
Hay.
Yeah. Like when you drive by a farmer's field.
Like straw hay. Yeah, exactly. That's if I was doing a blind taste test and I got that note, I would immediately try to guess Sauvignon Blanc.
Right. And then pairing wise, I think we're more on the white meats again, sort of porks, shellfish.
Yeah.
Definitely kind of the roasted chicken breast. Like I'm thinking like a chicken supreme, not like a whole roast chicken. And then goat cheese is one.
That's good.
And I think it works. Goat cheese got a little, I don't want to use the word funk in the wrong way. Like a tang.
That's a perfect word.
A tang. And the Sauvignon Blanc's got that gooseberry kind of tang. So they kind of go together.
They match well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think alternately for me, this is really specific. I mean, Sauvignon Blanc, I like kind of straight up alone without food. But the white cheddar popcorn, I think the most popular brand is Smart Food.
Yeah.
I think they go really well because, again, there's that bit of a tang from the white cheddar. And then just...
I could see that.
Yeah. And then just straight pretzels. I just kind of like that salty...
That's a good call, too.
Straight pretzels with my Sauvignon Blanc. How about you? What are your alternatives?
Yeah, I went for more of I was thinking, what would I have for dinner with a Sauvignon Blanc? That's a little different. And I was thinking maybe just pasta with pesto.
Like a green one?
Basil pesto, yeah.
That makes sense. Because it's earthy.
It's earthy. You get the pine nuts in there and the olive oil, and that sharp Sauvignon Blanc, I think, would just cut through it nicely.
So instead of like a fruity flavor, you're going for a crisper, cleaner, cut through that olive oil pine nut.
That's what I'm thinking.
I like that. That's smart. That's a good one.
Where do you typically buy your Sauvignon Blancs from? You said New Zealand's a good place?
New Zealand's kind of like, they produce a textbook Sauvignon Blanc. Canada can do a pretty good one. It's not super popular grown in the States. Yeah, I think I would go to New Zealand if I, want a textbook Sauvignon Blanc. How about you?
That's your best call for sure. New Zealand.
I checked before we got going, one of our 5-star Sauvignon Blanc is actually from Chile. And it's the Adobe Reserva.
We both like that
we
one.
both like that one a lot. And I was kind of did a double take there. I was like, Chile, really? Okay, cool. But it makes sense. It's a hotter climate. You're getting, as much sugar as you can produced into it as possible, which is not a lot, but it's a good one. Check it out. Adobe.
That was a great one.
Yeah. Adobe Reserva, 5 out of 5. It's on the nosnob.com website.
Yep, that's from Chile. And if you don't find that, pick up something from New Zealand.
Yeah, absolutely. Move over to Pinot Grigio. Now, this is interesting. Sometimes Pinot Gris, it's called. Very popular Italian white wine. Talking about a dry, acidic. I think they're refreshing summer day wine. Is it a sipper or is it a food wine in your experience?
Very popular in restaurants.
Very.
This is one of their big whites that a lot of people go to. So it does accommodate food really well.
Yeah. It sips well. But the thing I find strange about Pinot Grigio is they can have really high sugar contents, but they don't taste sweet to me. Like, especially the Italian styled ones.
Yeah, this one is actually extra dry, but it tastes, there's a perceived sweetness. So this is actually the opposite.
You're sipping a Pinot Grigio literally as we speak.
Yeah, as we speak, I'm sipping an Italian Pinot Grigio. And it is extra dry because it's 7 grams per liter residual sugar.
So it's lowish.
It's classified, dry, extra dry, but you would have fooled me just because of the honey notes behind it and everything. It's really nice. So that's surprising.
We're going to get into it in the review because you're going to review it in a minute, but what country is it from?
This is Italian.
It's Italian.
Sicily specifically.
Interesting, because my experience with Italian Pinot Grigio has always been a little more austere, a little drier, a little mouth puckering, but interesting. Sort of the more, what I'll call New World Pinot Grigios, Canada, US, they have more fruit. I taste more fruit, but
I was surprised with this one.
Huh. Okay, well, let's stay tuned for the review. Pinot Grigio, for me, I think of like melons. I think of citrus. They talk about minerals. What does it mean to you?
That sounds right. In the ballpark for sure.
What about food? What are the classic? What would you put your Pinot Grigios with?
I think I would just have this with your general appetizers or just like a sandwich, a hoagie.
Okay.
Type deal.
A hoagie. So what about a hoagie? So is that your standard rec or your alternate recommendation?
This is an alternate recommendation. It's like classically, you would just have this with like a starter in your dinner.
Right.
I think.
So it's for the lighter food you're looking at.
I think so.
Yeah, which makes sense in a hoagie, but I can see it. Like if you got that sub sauce and sort of those, those nice meats that kind of don't have a real flavor, like an indiscriminate meat flavor.
Yeah, exactly. Just like your generic submarine sandwich.
Right.
You could definitely pair with a Pinot Grigio.
I like that. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. How about yourself drinking with Pinot Grigio?
So maybe it's just my experience, but I like my Pinot Grigios against something big and fatty and rich. So like a classic backyard barbecue burger, maybe with some cheese on it, American style, yellow.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that.
But maybe that's more like, to me, Pinot Grigio is a hot weather wine for me. Like it's not something I would reach for in the, these waning days of winter we're in.
Yeah, not really. Definitely more of a summer sipper type wine.
Yeah. All right.
I think both of our foods reflect that too. You said barbecue and I said just a sandwich, like picnic type food.
Yeah, nothing serious. Nothing serious with those wines. All right. So that's Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Pinot Grigio. Definitely, the more popular wines. They're all grown around the world. You can get them anywhere. But I think, in our future episodes of our deep dives, we'll try some more exotic ones. But we want to give everybody just a baseline. Chardonnays, unoaked, Sauvignon Blanc. Try a Fumé if you can get your hands on one. And Pinot Grigio, definitely try Italian and then try other places around the world. You probably won't be disappointed.
Good advice.
We were just talking about your Pinot you're drinking as we record. Why don't you tell everybody how that's going?
Yep, I'm drinking a Fantini Pinot Grigio 2021 for the high price of $10 full.
10 whole dollars.
Yep, 10 whole dollars. So what I'm getting on the nose is golden pear, honey, and melon. Fresh, light, and crisp with lots of golden pear, honey, and melon flavors. Light body with an extra dry sugar content. However, I wouldn't have guessed because it's very flavorful and the honey notes trick you into perceiving some sweetness on the finish. It has a good balance, leans a little acidic, easy drinking, and a great price for $10. From Sicily, Italy, Fantini Pinot Grigio 2021, 4 out of 5 stars, $10.
For my wine, I had a Chardonnay from Argentina, which makes sense. It's not something I don't usually find Chardonnays from that part of the world, but I was pleasantly surprised. I had it opened it before dinner the other night. Tasted it, wrote it up. It was really surprising. Had it with some pepperoni pizza, heavily loaded pepperoni pizza. It was great. They worked perfectly together. So this is a Fuzion Organic Chardonnay 2020. I got honeysuckle, cantaloupe, and unripe peach. Maybe that doesn't sound appealing, but it was just a very specific stone fruit, late in the summer, not quite fall flavors. It was really good. It worked because the wine had a nice bit of acidity, had a slightly tart finish. The tart finish worked because it made me just want another sip. And so it was going down really smoothly. Despite coming from a warmer climate, Argentina, it did have many characteristics of French-style Chardonnay, which was a surprise, a great surprise. At 13.5% alcohol, it had a nice bit of heat, but it dissipated really quickly. And, sometimes some Chardonnays can be very mouth-coating. This one came in and went out quick. I liked it. I would absolutely buy again. I thought it was a great deal. Fuzion Organic Chardonnay 2020, $12.20, 5 out of 5 stars. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts, as it helps other people find us.
Yeah, tell your friends about the podcast. We know they drink wine too.
For more information on any of the wines we discussed, go to nosnobwine.com or check the show notes for links. The Wine Podcast for Everyone is a production of No Snob Media.